Let's do this. Vikings training camp, the on-the-field stuff is officially underway. I know you're excited about it because I'm excited about it. So what we'll do is the days that there's on-the-field stuff, we'll try to recap it on the night after or the morning, in this case, thereafter. And these will be takeaways, a general sentiment, topics, things that are noteworthy that I will chronicle as a video record. And yeah, everything got underway in Eagan for the on-the-field stuff, so let's hop into it. And per usual, these 7 things that we learned are in no particular order of importance. They're just things I'm calling out. We'll see how day 2, day 3 goes, etc. All right, Minnesota Vikings training camp, the first one without a Rick Spielman or a Mike Zimmer attached since 2005. If it felt weird observing it from afar on Twitter or, reading some of the aftermath, it was for good reason. This is a brand new day, a brand new era, especially with Spielman, who was attached to the organization since 2006, no longer working here. So that's why the vibe is different, foremost. All right, but number 1 is the day 1 performance of Johnny Munt. We talked about him on this show probably a dozen times, but it's always putting him on the back burner because me, suggest the acquisition of a more prominent TE2. Well, according to Munt, his first day was quite dazzling. He made a couple catches that were noteworthy, that perhaps, and go figure, that the plan all along was that this dude isn't just some anonymous depth blocking tight end. Maybe he is ready to be a TE2, and it appears the team is trending to give him that opportunity. So I think the day 1 nugget to remember is that this guy was probably signed for a reason, and we haven't seen a free agent acquisition like Kyle Rudolph, who told people that he wanted to be back in Minnesota. We haven't seen Eric Ebron, Jimmy Graham, Jared Cook, Blake Jarwin. None of those guys have been signed by the Vikings, and that's likely because they enjoy Mr. Munt, who came from the Los Angeles Rams, a Kevin O'Connell, patch over, if you will, to get an audition as TE2. Now, where it gets dicey is he a TE1? Because we saw in living color last year after the Chiefs preseason game that Irv Smith Jr. was lost for the entire season. Thankfully, Tyler Conklin was just waiting, for his one shot, and boom, he capitalized on it. Now he plays on a lucrative contract for the New York Jets. So the question mark here is whether or not Munt would be ready for the bright lights of TE1. Probably not. Maybe so. Did you think Conklin was? But you just might have a TE2 if day 1 of training camp was a reasonable indicator. Caveats at the wazoo. This is one single day of practice, not hard-hitting stuff, literally. So keep an eye on Munt, who seems like he might just be the TE2 candidate, and you need not sign Eric Ebron like this show has recommended. Number 2, this might be the most exciting one out of all the bunch here, is the infectious energy of Kevin O'Connell. A tweeted video, I think it was 1 minute, 46 seconds, went worldwide of O'Connell encouraging, teaching, coaching all of the players. And it's not that didn't happen during the Zimmer era. Of course it did. The team was quite good during the Zimmer era. But this O'Connell clip of him making the rounds to all of his players, in particular wide receivers, coaching them up on running routes, it felt different. I tweeted it and said, you're going to get hyped, just accept it. Other folks had something of the same ilk, saying like, God, they're so excited. And I don't know that it can be put into words. It might just be because the guy isn't Mike Zimmer that all of this feels new. However, I think that the video I'm talking about, if you want to go look at it on Twitter, I encourage you to do so. It's a confirmation of all of the words, the vibes, the honeymoon that we've encountered since February when he was hired from the Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams. It was on tape. It was on video. The guy walking the walk. Not just a good podium politician speaker. He seems like a beacon of positivity and optimism that Minnesota probably hasn't had for the last 2 years. Again, I've written 100 times on VikingsTerritory.com that during the Mike Zimmer era, Minnesota was the 10th best NFL franchise per wins and losses, even with the shitty last 2 seasons. So this is not a knock on Zimmer. I enjoyed Zimmer for much of his tenure. But the new breed, the new vibe, the new sensation is Kevin O'Connell, and his interaction with players yesterday in the video confirmed what you already felt and knew. This guy is pretty cool. His energy is unmatched. Boom. Number 3, probably the winner of the day, Andrew Booth, a rookie cornerback from Clemson who is vying for a starting cornerback job. He'll have to dethrone Patrick Peterson, future Hall of Famer, and Cameron Dantzler, who I think we're all just kind of split on in the court of public opinion. Dantzler, by Next Generation NFL stats, the actual Next Gen stats, is a top 10 cornerback, at least per last year's performance. But I think when he got thrown into Mike Zimmer's doghouse, which for reasons I don't think we'll ever know unless Dantzler does a tell-all interview, I think that hurt his reputation because Bashaud Breeland was so poor on the field that, what could Dantzler have done to have him relegated to this doghouse? Kellen Mond was in the same doghouse. So in order for Dantzler to be overtaken, this Booth guy, the second-round rookie who was direct fruit of the trade with the Detroit Lions, is going to have to be pretty damn good. Well, he's off to a good start. He had a interception that the Vikings Twitter account posted and was subsequently retweeted by virtually everybody in the Vikings community. And one thing that's been odd about the Vikings defense, even when it was good from 2014 through 2019, they didn't intercept a lot of passes, especially the cornerbacks. The interceptions largely came from linebackers and safeties, Harrison Smith. But the cornerbacks were in this mold of, just knock it down, get the pass defended, not the interception. Well, in day one, just a single day, Booth had one of those, and he looks tenacious and like a potential starter. One of my predictions for this training camp was that he won't win the starting job, that the incumbency, Patrick Peterson, Cameron Dantzler, will reign supreme. Well, I might have to walk that back if this shit continues where Booth is marvelous. And I would love to be wrong and have Booth too good to be ignored as a QB1 or, a CB1 or a CB2. So I think if you had to poll folks that were in attendance or simply, you onlookers from afar, I would say Booth won the day, which you'll take. Anything that is outstanding from a rookie, the more the merrier, baby. All right, the next is, generally speaking, the Vikings' health is in a good spot, knocking on wood of this kitchen table. 3 dudes on the PUP list and the NFI list. Blake Prohl, the undrafted rookie last year, the son of Ricky Prohl. And let's see, who else was, it was Prohl, and I'm drawing a blank on the other 2 for the PUP list and the NFI list. But it was players that, it was kind of like Ryan Connolly. He was the linebacker. And in the Nate Harrison was the NFI list. They came to me. I'm getting old. I'm going to be 39 in October. But those guys, bless their heart, hopefully they recover soon. They're not starters. So right now, as of July 28th, the health of the Vikings is in a good spot, especially in contrast to the Green Bay Packers, who've got 14 dudes on both lists, and some of them are headlining guys like David Bakhtiari, Sammy Watkins, who was one of their free agent solutions, Elkin Jenkins, and the Christian Watson, the rookie wide receiver. He's also on one of those lists. So right now, I'm sure stuff will happen. B.C. Johnson was hurt last year for the season. So was Chad Beebe, Blake Prohl, Irv Smith. Stuff will happen, but you're not waltzing into training camp with a bunch of, we got 14 dudes on there this season shit already, because that is happening to the Packers, although we know Green Bay will figure it out and be just fine. They always do. Health is good right now. It's on the docket. It is not something that you have to roll your eyes at. Number 5 is a small one. Kellen Mond getting some QB2 snaps should be called out because last year he got such a bum rap from the ex-coaching staff, infamously not wanting to see him anymore until, I see enough of him practice or not particularly, was the quote from Mike Zimmer, that now, as we have predicted, and Kevin O'Connell and his staff has said, he's going to get a fair shake. So that's just reiterating what we have seen, heard in folks' words for the last 4 months, that Kellen Mond isn't going to just be a absolute footnote on the Vikings depth chart. He'll probably end up winning QB2, one of the predictions that I had that wasn't very bold. And yesterday there was confirmation that bada bing, he got some of those QB2 snaps, which should be encouraging because in the grand scheme of things, Mond's development is important for one single reason. And apologize for redundancy if I've already said this. It's unlikely that Kirk Cousins misses time as QB1 because he is an Iron Man. The only time he's missed a game in his career due to injury was COVID against the Packers last year when Mannion played. So it really probably won't matter if Mond gets the QB2 job in terms of regular season snaps. But in the event this season is some more 8-9 bullshit, and the new regime says, all right, we've had enough. We gave Cousins this one hurrah, no good, mediocre. You have to absolutely know if Mond is an option at QB1. If he can't oust Sean Mannion for QB2 in training camp, then he doesn't deserve to be considered for life after Cousins. Plain and simple, that's why you monitor Mond in the next 6 weeks until the regular season. This next one is also minute. Jordan Hicks, he wasn't there. He has the coronavirus, so he probably won't be back until early next week. But he is a starting Vikings linebacker and a new guy, so eventually you'll get a peek at him. It just wasn't on Wednesday because of COVID. So, like I said, that doesn't move the needle a whole lot, but if you were wondering, well, how the hell does this guy look? He's supposed to be, the starter next to Kendricks. Wasn't quite ready. He had COVID like I did about a month and a half ago. And the biggest drawback for me from COVID, I didn't even have a sore throat or sneeze or whatever the regular symptom is. I just couldn't smell or taste. And it drove me bonkers. That I didn't think I would care about that. But indeed, life isn't fun when you can't smell or taste. I digress. This isn't the COVID show. This is the Vikings show. Finally, the final takeaway was from Justin Jefferson's press conference when asked by Chris Thomason, who's been on our show before, about his next contract, which should heat up talks. They should heat up next March or April. Thomason asked him about it, and he said that he's focused on being the best wide receiver in the game. Fine and dandy, that's what we want. But he also says, I'm not fond of money. Now, that happened about 24 hours ago, and I have searched high and low in my brain, and I don't know that I've ever heard a superstar athlete say, I'm not fond of money. 1,000,000 times I've heard them say, it's not about the money or accepting team-friendly deals to win a championship. Heard that ad nauseum. It's great. But for a player to have like a socialist revelation that I'm not fond of money, I don't know if he misspoke, if he's the ultimate dream athlete that, just general manager to die for. But Jefferson saying I'm not fond of money should make the contract talks next spring a little less dramatic until, his agent picks his jaw off the cement and says, what are you saying? Do not say that shit. Because I just point blank, I've never heard an athlete be that humble about his pocketbook. And this is not a bad thing, by the way. If he's not going to take a discount, but it also lays a baseline that contract negotiations in March or April need not be contentious. If we already know this guy wants to play here, hopefully he has 1,900 yards receiving, and he's not greedy or a money hog because he isn't fond of it, it should be easy peasy that he signs his humongous veteran deal with the Vikings, which will probably be about $30 million per year. So the only thing I'm calling this out of is the actual words that were used. I'm not fond of money. It's strange to hear anybody say that lives in the United States of America, that fancies a capitalism system. But for a guy, a young wide receiver, it's strange that those words come out of his mouth, but we will take it. All right, recapping. Johnny Munt, a TE2 candidate, looked the part for a single day. Kevin O'Connell's energy is infectious. I encourage you to go find the video on Twitter. It is awesome. Andrew Booth, in my opinion, won the day. There will be multiple winners of days in the next few weeks, but day one went to Andrew Booth, who now has an interesting tunnel to get to CB1 or CB2. Generally speaking, number 4, the Vikings' health is in good shape. Knocked on wood, knocking on it again. Kellen Mond got QB2 snaps, at least some of the time. That's encouraging. Jordan Hicks has the coronavirus. That's why you didn't see any of him. And then Justin Jefferson basically saying that I'm not a greedy son of a bitch. Those are the 7 headlines for the Vikings, are things that you can learn from day one of training camp. I will be back tomorrow night with Janik from Germany. We have quite the time zone divide, so tomorrow night we'll record around, for your purposes, it'll probably post around 11 p.m. Friday night. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and Skol, baby.